I followed my father from the farm into restaurants. He wanted to get into restaurants, so I kind of, scurried behind him and found out that I really liked to cook. I had a talent for cooking. I enjoyed it. I really liked making beautiful food and preparing it for people. I had restaurants with him, and we had an incredible career. I had an incredible career for decades in food, in culinary arts, in restaurants, and it was, man, what a life that was. I moved here to Colorado Springs in 2003 from New Orleans, which was it's a whole nother TED Talk, New Orleans. But I started volunteering in my spare time at a local nonprofit here, and I started really engaging with folks in poverty, in homelessness, addiction, mental illness. It was an experience that changed my life. I helped them with a culinary arts program. I helped them, I did cooking classes for men in a recovery program and really started introducing them to fresh food and cooking. And I eventually left the restaurants I had. I'd opened some restaurants here with a friend of mine. I came here and I left those restaurants to actually go work for this nonprofit. And in working for that nonprofit, I became really intimately engaged with folks that you see on the street that are homeless. You're walking down the street, you know how it is sometimes, I don't know, if you're intimidated, you're walking down the street and there's like that person on the street that you know is going to ask you for money or looks kind of shabby, and it's like you get kind of intimidated. They're people. They're just human beings. They have issues, just like we have issues. But those are the people I saw. I saw and experienced that the least of us had the least amount of access to fresh, healthy food. And that to me was shocking. It was a shame. It was a shame that we couldn't get access to food for those folks in homelessness and poverty. We had food out there, but it was sometimes nutritionally baked. It still is that they have access to. I knew there had to be another way to do this. I knew there had to be a better way for Colorado Springs to react to this, and I had to do something myself that was better. I had to do more to get this fresh, healthy food to folks. So, in talking about community to me, it's relationship, it's touch, it's feeling each other out and being able to talk to each other, to engage with each other. It's a deep human need that we all have to know each other. It's human. Again, working with those folks in homelessness and addiction, they don't always have a community. When John just spoke a little while ago about what's going on at the library, there's isolation for homelessness. Isolation for folks on the street. There's sometimes affected with mental illness and addictions, and they don't have a place to go. They don't have a place to relate to that many of us do in our own communities. I knew there had to be a better way to do this. What does food have to do with this? Well, I'll tell you what food has to do with it. Food is community. To me, food is so much community. In my search for a solution for many years, I knew that there had to have a better way to access fresh, healthy, local food. So hence, a community cafe was born. I've been in the community cafe movement now for about 12 years, opened several of them with some other friends. The first one was in Salt Lake City. There are about 60 community cafes around the country. There are about 20 more being in the process of being built right now. And we're all about the same. We're a little bit different. We all have the same purpose. Sometimes we have different personalities, but the purpose is the same. We serve as much locally sourced food as we can find, fresh, healthy food. And we provide it to folks regardless of their ability to pay. When you come into the cafes, there's no prices on our menus. It's really great, wonderful food. And people get a little confused about that. They'll come in and say, gosh, there's no prices on the menu. Are you nuts? What's going on? But we're not really nuts. What we do is we ask people to pay what they feel like paying, what they think the meal might be worth. Some people pay a little bit. Some people kind of pay the average donation that's kind of going on. We let people know about that. And then some people pay it forward. If you can't pay, there is a little bit of a hook because it's not a free meal. We ask you to give us an hour of service for a healthy, fresh meal. We try to meet people where they are, and we meet so many people where they are, and have them come in and engage with us and do something. It's truly a hand up, not a handout. We have them volunteer that hour of service in exchange for that meal. We do that in an atmosphere of inclusion, an atmosphere of dignity. It's a true sense of community. Seeds, we're a great social experiment. We are not a food bank. We are not a soup kitchen. We're not a social agency. But at the heart of Seeds is love, it's trust, it's dignity. It's really engaging people in relationship, and it's always about food, always about great food over a great meal. To date, I can tell you at Seeds, we've served over 70,000 meals. About 40% to those in need that have exchanged their meal for service, about 28,000 folks. We do so much more at Seeds too. We engage so many people. We teach cooking classes, probably to thousands of folks. We do outreach cooking classes to men, women, and children, teaching them about fresh, healthy foods, simple recipes that they can engage in. And we've touched thousands of lives. We teach people cooking every single day in the cafe, which is so much fun and so relational. We learn so much about each other when we do that. We put people back to work. We have training programs. We have a vocational training program. We work with folks and we teach them culinary arts along with Pikes Peak Community College. In the last couple of years, we've put 38 people back to work, 3 just last week. 38 people back to work that were all jobless. Some were homeless. Some we helped get some housing. We helped them empower their lives with living wage jobs, not minimum wage jobs, living wage jobs. There's a difference when you're trying to go out and make it in the world, and you need that empowerment. Food is so powerful, so we've done that. We have engaged so many volunteers. I have 2 core beliefs about food and about why it's community. I think our community is only as strong as our local food system, our food shed, and it's very, very important to understand what that means. Our second one is that I think our community is only as strong as the meals that we serve. In that first one, our food shed is so important. When you look at what's going on in Colorado Springs, in this agency or in this county or around the country, food sheds are so important in how our local food system. When you look at where we are here, you know, someday, if maybe those trucks that bring us food from other states and other countries, they don't make it here for some reason, we've got about a 3-day food supply for all of us. So a 3-day food supply for all of us, which puts us all in food insecurity. I think that graphically underscores the need to keep our food bank and our food system healthy. And we're working on that every single day. Have many partners out there, and we're trying to engage that and keep fresh, healthy food coming for all of us. That second core belief of sharing a meal with someone. Got a few people up here sharing meals from the cafe here. Is so important. It's how we engage each other. When we look at, we coming together with our children, with the elderly, with our parents, with strangers, coming and sharing a meal with each other. It's so incredible. Food is a leveler. You know, in the cafe, I find it amazing every single day. People come in, and again, there's no prices on the menu. You don't know what people pay, and that I found in the socioeconomic level. You know, we may have the richest person in Colorado Springs and the poorest person in Colorado Springs, and they may be sitting beside each other. You may find the mayor sitting at one of our tables, and he may be sitting beside someone who's sleeping in their car, and they may share experience. They may share a conversation with each other over a meal that changes one of the other's lives. There could be a businessman that comes in and is sitting at our community table with a mom and her kids. That mom and kids could be on our SNAP program, the food stamp program that works throughout our community. About 74,000 folks on that program in El Paso County, 14% of our population, a lot of folks. But they'll share experiences with each other in conversations and talk over a great healthy meal that start to change their lives, that start to connect them together. It's like magic. You know, to me, it's like magic when you see what's happening in the cafe. But you know, there's a little secret about that. The neatest thing about the magic is it's not really magic at all. It's about us. It's about we are all do this together. The magic is within all of us in sharing each other and sharing the meals. And what happens at Seeds is amazing every single day. You know, I've stated before that food has the power to change lives, to significantly make a community stronger. This morning, I want to talk to you about some things I could challenge you on to help participate in and be part of this. I've got 5 suggestions for you. I have more than 3, but don't be discouraged because they're all pretty good. But let me talk to you about some ways that you might be able to engage in the power of food. How about volunteering? Volunteering to a nonprofit, it's so powerful to the mission, it's so needed. At Seeds, volunteers are the lifeblood of what we do. Engaged, enthusiastic folks that come in to any nonprofit. It's so important to fulfill that mission, to keep going forward. When you volunteer, when you give back, you're creating community. You're giving yourself back to others, and you're creating that magic in the community that really makes a difference to everybody that you're in touch with. I think in volunteers, we have engaged in the last few years probably 3,000 or 4,000 volunteers with tens of thousands of volunteer hours of engagement. It's been wonderful. Volunteering, a way you could get started today. If you don't do it, maybe you do it now, and that's great. But maybe start tomorrow, next week. Come to Seeds or come to any nonprofit. Check it out. Volunteering is important stuff. How about cooking a meal? Cooking a meal with someone or for someone, powerful stuff. We have lost the art and the tradition of generational cooking in America. I see it all the time. When we talk to folks in food insecurity, folks on poverty, folks on SNAP programs, we have a society that relies on convenience foods, and we just don't cook as much at home anymore. And it's hard when you're a mom, single mom maybe, with kids, and you've got to get up in the morning, you've got to get the kids to school, you got to go work maybe 1 or 2 minimum wage jobs. You come home at 6 o'clock at night, and goodness gracious, how do you feed the kids? I'm going to pop some macaroni and cheese in the microwave. We've got to get people cooking again. It's very, very important to what we do. And just simple foods, simple meals to share with each other. If you haven't, try to cook a meal with someone or for someone. Could be for your family, could be for yourself. You never know the impact you're going to have with someone else's life in doing that. It's so important. Someone who's elderly, do something for them. It's the heart of community, is cooking. Used to, when I grew up, again, back to the seeds of my childhood, it was what we did all the time. We always cooked. We always shared those meals. How about gardening? Urban homestead. Anyone doing some urban homesteading? I know some folks down here doing that. What if you planted a garden, a little box garden? What if you raised some chickens? What if you took some bees and did a beehive? So important. I encourage people all the time, put your hands in the dirt. We've divorced ourselves from the earth in America, and we need to get back to the earth. We need to get back to growing and sharing the earth with each other. When you plant something, any gardeners here? A few gardeners, okay. If you plant something, I'll tell you what happens. You take a seed, you put, whether you put it in a raised bed, if you have a backyard, or if you don't have a backyard, if you have a pot, put something in a pot, nurture those seeds, watch them grow, and whether it's a basil plant, a tomato plant, could be zucchini, when you see that thing come up and you start to grow it and you're watching it, and it's the first time for harvest, okay? You're going to snip off some basil, or you may take a tomato, probably standing in the garden or by that pot, you're going to eat it, and you're going to taste it and say, wow, I just grew this. I can tell you the very next thing you're going to do, and gardeners can verify this with me, the very next thing you want to do is you want to share that with someone. You want to take that and say, look, I grew this. Can I share this with you? It is amazing. It changes the whole level of communication of how we relate to each other. Gardening, food, sticking your hands in the dirt, grow something. Do something that encourages our local economy. Food waste. This is a picture of food we rescued from a dumpster. Now, it doesn't look that bad to me. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty healthy. That asparagus is looking great. Those eggplants. This came from a grocery store dumpster. Food waste in America. We've got to reduce food waste. We've got to figure out a way how to grab that food, how to take surplus food, how to take food that comes from our farmers, food that comes from grocery stores, and turn that back into healthy meals. What if we could take that surplus food and maybe create a big kitchen, create maybe another 60 to 100 jobs, take people off the food stamp line, put them on the food production line, give them living wage jobs, let them be part of the solution to their own lives in producing some of this rescued food, some of the surplus food, some of this reclaimed food, turning it back into healthy meals for our community that we could sell back at a value-added cost to Meals on Wheels, to schools, to colleges, to assisted care living, to folks that are on SNAP or nutritional or assistance programs for food, where they could actually start eating fresh food, getting it into their bodies. Food is medicine. A community cafe in many ways is the pharmacy of the future. But what if we could do that? I need help doing that. I dream about this every day, is how do we take this food and turn it back into healthy, healthy meals. And last but not least, how about local? Buy local. You can support local. There's so many ways. Go to a farmer's market. Participate in a CSA, community shared agriculture. Support the local farmers. Support our local farms. Support local food producers. Our local economy will drive us. It's no better way to share community than to do that. It is so wonderful. So I've got a challenge for you today, and I have 3 things I'm going to talk to you about. Okay? Are you willing? Are you willing to become passionate about food and become an advocate for food? Are you willing to become an active participant in strengthening our community and using food as that way in, as that avenue, as fresh food, as to be an instrument for the empowerment? And are you willing to share the love with me that happens at community cafes, that happens with each other as we share a meal? Can you share that love with me? If you do, and if you can, if you're willing, I think you'll find that your life will be transformed. It is amazing. It'll be amazing for you. It's amazing for our community. Thank you so much.